I've replaced almost every other part on that laser, and I'm just waiting for the
The
day.
tube is just kicking it.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry if it happens soon after this.
Yeah.
If I jinxed it, I apologize now.
He
But
goes
I
to
mean,
running. And welcome back to the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
hey,
What's up?
same old, same old.
Same old, same old. We're brought to you today by,
Monarch Pine.
as always,
She gave everybody a 10% code off of
I was
her
like, I'm not going to
Etsy.
use the 10% code.
I mean, you could.
I could, but I haven't even started on the fiber yet. So
I know, but she does sell fiber blinks.
I know, but I'm
so.
just saying, the one thing I could, I'm not there yet.
Anyway, we could get 10% off with code Riley Black on her Etsy, monarchpine.etsy.com.
Perfect.
And then
you had a mention?
I do. So we had several early access. What do you call it? Patrons, new patrons from last week, and it was really hard.
We know why you signed up.
I know, for the contest, but I hope you stay.
Yeah, stick around.
Right. But it was really hard for me not to mention them because they don't mean any less to us that they're not the Say My Name level.
Right.
But they're not the Say My Name level. So, but we thank you. We appreciate you.
And if you want your name,
right.
level up.
Just upgrade a little bit. Catherine, who we had on last week at this point, right? Is that accurate?
I haven't edited that one yet, so maybe.
But anyway,
I think it was a lot.
Catherine with Primary Market. She joined us after the show, so thank you, Catherine.
And followed us on all the
things.
Medias, yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of followers, this is pretty impressive.
This is follower goals.
24K.
Over 24K.
Just 24K. I mean,
I know.
That's gold. So I'd be happy at just 20 to plateau at 24K.
We fought tooth and nail for our 1K so far. So, although it's been growing very organically on its own.
Yes,
thankfully.
it has. It has some awesome leather good on Market Supply on Instagram.
Leather good?
Leather goods. Yeah, like leather stuff.
I didn't hear the S. Sorry.
Oh, I might have not. It's late. It's a late recording, so I might have said it. But there's some awesome stuff there. I checked it out before.
Yeah.
In our research for our guests now. But most recently is uploading content. It's to keep that over 24K. It's got to be some good content.
Right.
Welcome to the show, Justin Laser. Well, that's his YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes.
How's it going, Justin?
My name is also Justin. It's pretty simple.
Right.
But I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Is Laser really your last name? Because that'd be awesome too.
That would be awesome. But no, it's a stupid origin story. I used to just call the folder on my computer Justin Laser for all the stuff I had to laser. So when I was trying to think of a YouTube name, I was like, well, I'll start with that, and if I ever want to change it, I'll change it. But
it works though. I mean, funny story. John in my phone, even though he's been my husband for almost 10 years and 13 years together, he is John Vegas in my phone because we met in Vegas. So
she had a lot of Johns in her phone, I guess.
I don't think I even do, but because of the way my brain works, I have to put like that in parentheses. So I have tons of people who their name is like Mindy, like Glowforge or Mindy Laser or Heather. I think is still in my phone as Heather and Forge.
Better be. If I'm still John Vegas, Heather better be Heather Forge.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on.
It better be.
I'm pretty sure. I don't change them.
Right.
And my friends would give me shit all the time, and I'm like, but I see. Look, Kristen Insurance, that. I have to.
I'm still John Vegas. Our son asked her, "Who's John Vegas?" Because he started reading. So
Heather Forge.
Yeah.
See. So it's not just you; it's everybody in my life. It's how I met you.
Listen, if it's me, if I'm still John Vegas, everybody else better still have their parentheses.
Okay, they will.
Saying.
He'll be Justin Laser now.
Better be.
Anyway, so how the heck did you get into lasers, and then how did that lead into your YouTube channel and basically what it is that you do now? What was your start?
So I got started probably back in like 2013-ish. At the time, I was just working a regular full-time job. And on the side, I had 2 projects that I was doing. One was I was making, handmade wallets and keychains and belts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would mostly sell them online on message boards and Reddit and places like that. But I lived in Philly at the time, and I worked with a couple with a couple local shops that I would sell some of my stuff through them. And I also had a blog for leathercraft. Blogs were big 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
So I would do like top 10 leathercraft tips and leather reviews. And I would also once in a while,
OG content creation.
Yeah. Pre-social media, basically. And I would, every once in a while, I would make like a free PDF pattern that I came up with for like a card holder, and I would give it away for free. I would post it up.
Yeah.
So those are the things I was doing. But, I was always keeping an eye out for new and unique product ideas, as one does when they're in business.
Yeah.
And I was on Kickstarter one day, and I came across this project called the Wrap Wallet. And this guy was laser cutting wallets, and he was selling them deconstructed as like a little kit with the thread and the needles.
Nice.
And so it was like an experience, right? Instead of an end product. And I thought this was the best idea I ever saw. And since I do everything in Illustrator, I have everything done in vector format already.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I could easily do something like this because I have this stuff done.
Right.
And but he's using a laser, and I know what a laser is, but I don't have one.
Yeah.
And so I would like watch the promo video, and I would just pause it whenever the laser was on screen and try to read on the side like what the brand name was, because this was 2013. This was pre Glowforge, pre X-Tool. There was nothing really online about this stuff. But luckily for me, there's a makerspace near me where I lived in Philly called NextFab, and they had a bunch of lasers there. So I signed up. I did my training so I don't burn down the building.
Right.
And then
I always wondered, can we pause real quick and talk about the makerspace? I always wondered how that worked, because you need to know some things before you touch it, and I always wondered how the makerspace worked, and how the Glowforge and Joann's, I don't think they gave you any training before people were allowed to touch that.
Well, to be fair, Glowforge themselves doesn't give you any training.
They give you a manual-ish and projects to start with, but that always terrified me, because I wouldn't let anybody just come up and
Glowforge is plug and play for the most part. It's hey, but watch still, it. Make sure it doesn't catch fire.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Maybe there's a sign.
The screen does say it when you hit start on a job. But yeah, so what is the what kind of training do you get when you go into a maker's? I've never been to one. I've heard of them, but I've never actually.
No, they're great. It's I don't exactly remember, but I know I had to take a certain amount of guide, like the guy who ran the laser studio and 3D and all that stuff. He would kind of work with you for, I think it was an hour or 2 or 3 or something like that. You had to clock that amount of time before they would let you do it by yourself.
Okay.
And so, but even so, I was just like, I don't know that. So imagine the Glowforge situation there, but replace the Glowforge with $100,000 laser that isn't yours. It's just
yeah,
this is terrifying. And, So no, it was kind of, it was really much, definitely a learn as you go thing. They're just look, don't burn it down. Here's where all the fire safety stuff is right next to it. Just smack the emergency button if anything happens that you don't want to happen. And that was it, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects, and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9 to 5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on. So then so did you use the Makerspace laser for a while before purchasing your own, or like where did you go from there?
Oh yeah. So I was working, first I started just messing around, cutting stuff out of leather. Then I started saying, I can cut a lot faster than cutting by hand. So I started cutting some of my keychains and parts that I was selling on the laser and selling it.
Yeah.
And, but I'll jump forward a little bit. So I mean, I worked out of the Makerspace. I ran my business out of the Makerspace for 2.5 to 3 years almost.
Wow.
Before I got my own workshop and bought my own laser.
Nice.
So even when I was doing that I quit my job to do the laser stuff. I was still in the Makerspace, and I would go there. Yeah, Monday and Thursday. I would go there every week, Monday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Cut all of my orders that I got online. Come back home, bring all the acrylic back home, and then pack everything in my basement. And I did that for 2.5 years, basically.
Nice. So with the Makerspace, do you rent time, or like how did you make sure that was there several other lasers and you always knew that there'd at least be one open like when you went, or?
Yeah, so there was 2 locations, and the one where I learned the most had a couple lasers. They had 2 universals and 1 Trotec.
Okay.
And you would just kind of log on to their online portal and look for open times.
Okay.
But then there was another Makerspace. There was another version that was a little bit further up north in the city, and they had a smaller Trotec. They only had 1 laser there, and no one used that one because it was one of the newer locations. So I would book most of my time on that one because it had less people on the schedule.
Right.
So yeah, I would just log on and pray that no one's took my slots that I always wanted.
Yeah.
And I would that's how I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, those are great resources for people who, one, don't know if this is it for them.
Right.
Or they don't have the money to invest in a laser or the right laser,
or the space.
Right, exactly. But yeah, it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet and maybe even test a business idea or see how it goes, and then make the money, and then maybe you can just pay off your laser before it even shows up, instead of a lot of people who have to invest $5,000 to $10,000 just to even see if this is for them or not.
Yep.
So I mean, you can obviously start with a Glowforge, or not a Glowforge, a diode is what I meant to say. But there's always the limitations with the diode, and then trying to make money is a little bit harder as well, besides being new. Making money on a diode, with the extra time and stuff that it takes, you really have to find that right product that works for the laser you currently have. And then go from there. But yeah, that's impressive that you had I wouldn't have had the patience, but I have anxiety about everything, especially in public. I'd be like, oh my God, even if the laser was never not available, I would be sure that if I needed it, that's when it wasn't going to be there, and I have orders to fill and whatever. So, how big was your first warehouse, and what was your first laser?
So when I was ready to move out of the Makerspace, I found a place in Philly. It was a big building. It's called the Bach Building, and it's really cool. It's an old high school that was decommissioned. And but then somebody, rented it out, and now every room in the high school is a new, small creative business, woodworkers, bakeries, every business you could think of. And so I got a space there. 1,000 square foot, way too big. I did not need it.
Yeah.
But it was super cool, and beautiful big windows, and it was industrial looking. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I got about 4 months after I moved in, because I spent so much money moving in, I didn't have money to buy a laser, so I was still going back to the makerspace.
That's awesome.
But but then
do what
after
you gotta do.
it's all I could do. But after a couple of months, I had enough to buy. I bought a Boss 1630, so 16 by 30 inch CO2. It's only 65 watt.
Yeah.
But again, at the time, there was still a little bit less offerings.
Right.
I didn't really know what to look for, but I love this laser. I still use it. I have it right next to me.
Nice.
So yeah, that's
where
I started.
When did you get that one? What year was that? Do you remember?
The beginning of 2017, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So it's been going for years. Have you had to replace the tube or anything?
Not yet. I'm sure it's got to be on its last breath. I don't know how. Every day I replaced almost every other part on that laser, and I'm just waiting for the day.
The tube is just kicking it. Yeah. I'm so sorry if it happens soon after this. If I jinxed it, I apologize now.
He goes to running.
And I'm not one of these people that's very meticulous about maintenance. I let things go for long times, and
Same.
I mean, I haven't aligned my mirrors. I don't even know the last time. So it's just
because it sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Aligning mirrors is literally the worst. Yeah. So I mean, on your channel, you test out like a lot of newer lasers, or like they send you some, or like how does that work? And then like, what do you do with them after you test and make the video?
Yeah, so with the Justin Laser channel, I started doing just laser specific content, as opposed to my other channel for my other business, which was very much specific to my niche, my leather niche for my business.
Yeah.
And so I didn't start out. So I kind of just did it as an experiment.
Okay.
I really wanted to do a laser channel. I was thinking, even back in COVID, I was kind of thinking like, man, I would like to do something with this. Like kind of free myself up to do the content I want to do with my laser.
Right.
But I couldn't think of a good angle for it. So I kind of just shelved it in my head. I was like, I'll come back to this.
Yeah. So
I finally, at the beginning of last year, I was like, okay, I got a kind of an idea of what I'd like to do. I'll talk more about the business side, because I love that stuff. That's, I love listening to the podcast. Even if people are just starting their businesses, I love listening to people talk about what they're doing, their creative businesses.
I mean, just a quick interjection is that our podcast didn't start out interviewing people either. Honestly, when we first started, it was, we were going to talk about laser stuff. We were going to have Heather on, here and there. And we were going to talk about like different topics. And what happened was, and a lot of the other laser podcasts that are around now, they do a lot of that. They have like a particular topic, and they usually bring someone on who's almost like an expert in that, or does a lot of it, or that's their niche or whatever. But we were doing that like ourselves, and I say ourselves heavily, but it was me, because he was the beginner. He set up still am. He set up all the like equipment and got the stuff recording, but like the topic was like,
that's an important part.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It wouldn't have happened without him. But it was like, oh my God, it was so much work putting into people wanted to know like the best like websites and e-commerce, and I'm like, I don't know. I use Etsy and Shopify. I don't know, I know like a little bit about the other ones, but it was a lot of work. And then I was like, and then it just kind of like morphed pretty quickly into interviewing people. And then I was like, oh, for one, this is a little bit less work as far as like the pre-planning the episode. Right. But it was so interesting to see how people like fell into it, because a lot of us, when we came across lasers, we didn't know anything about them. We saw some cool video or something that was made with it, and we asked them, how you make it, and then, like you were saying in the 2013-ish time, you know, I would go to a lot of like craft shows and stuff, and I'd see things that I know now were made with a laser, but I never knew how, and I never had the bravery to ask them what they used to make it with. But the figuring out what to talk about is the hardest part, and that's why I love how it morphed into the interviews,
right?
Because it's just it's super interesting,
and to hear the different paths that people take, to make it to where they are. Stuff is also very valuable.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte, anything matte, and I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that, paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code Riley Black will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
So back to your laser channel.
Journey. So I didn't really have any goals setting out for it. And then, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but when you have a channel, a lot of the companies start reaching out for reviews. I get bombarded. My inbox is full of them. And
we don't have that problem yet. They can come here.
That's a good problem.
Oh no, but it's not.
We don't have the space for it.
Well, it's not always ones that you really want to.
For sure. Yeah.
I was never interested in being like a laser review, a full laser review where everyone's just going to send me lasers. I don't have the space for it, and I don't want to do it.
Right.
I have too much work to do. This is my day job. So
right. Well, and a lot of times don't they usually require, there's always like some, they want like a certain amount of content, or they probably want it to be like mostly positive too. I've kind of heard of someone who like got a laser, and when they made like an honest YouTube review, not bashing them. Well, so I can't say, I didn't personally see it, but they pointed out like a couple things that might be like, a little clunky or a little like
their honest review.
Right. An honest review on it. And they didn't want them to post it. So, it's, I think there would definitely be, it sounds great to get like a free laser, but it's not just like,
it's not free.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's definitely not free. And I've been lucky that, I did have that situation arise. So I had someone recently send me I won't mention the company's name because I do like the company, but
yes,
it was an expensive, not a diode. It was like a real deal, like expensive laser. And I tested it for a little bit. I had some questions. It wasn't working how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I can't give a good because I'm not going to put my name on this,
right?
And say this is a good laser, and
I don't have to protect that,
And like if I can't figure it out, then some people might not be able to figure out at all,
especially like a newbie. Yeah,
exactly. And so I actually sent it back. I recreated it. I was like, guys, like, thank you. I can't review this right now unless you want me to put out, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
So that was the only situation where that happened. But otherwise, on the more intro level, I never knew what a diode laser was because I started on CO2s, very expensive CO2s, and then I worked my way, and then I started seeing them, and I was just like, what is that? Like, that's going to burn sound, it's going to burn down someone's house. And but I kept seeing them, and I kept seeing them, so I'm like, all right, I'll get a couple, or I'll get one or two. So, I bought the X Tool ones. I bought a bunch of stuff. And I was actually kind of impressed by like the level of thought they put into things. Because with those hobby level lasers like that, they usually like the instructions don't make sense. They don't work.
Right.
Wi-Fi never works.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to review those kind of things, but I was impressed by the way that it worked. And they reached out to me, and they're the only ones that I work with. I was like, hey, I'm not in the laser review game, but I do like your products.
Right.
If we can make this mutually beneficial, I'm going to tell people if there's something in it that I don't like.
Right.
I'm not going to be a complete like positive review machine.
Right.
But I don't put myself in the position where I'm going to review something that I'm going to do that.
True.
I'm like, look, I'm just not going to do it, and I'll save us both the time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because I don't need to do it. I just don't. I only do it because I like it and it's fun and I like to learn and then teach people about it.
So do you do the YouTube content creation as that's your full-time job?
Well, combined, yes. So Justin Laser, like I do make some money from it, but I don't make enough to if I were to cut off my other laser business, no. But the laser stuff all in this garage, this is where I work every day. Yeah. Combined, the two things combined is my full-time job, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of like I think a lot of people, and it is a smart way to do it as well, is having several different pieces. One, it's hard because I struggle with showing enough attention to each piece.
Right.
But it also makes it so that like if one of those pieces falls off, you're not like, okay, my business is screwed, and then that like God forbid something happened to like YouTube or like the people on TikTok right now who are freaking out that TikTok may go. If your business is almost 100% TikTok, you should be very worried right now because now you have to make sure that you pivot the right way and you get all your people, somewhere else
in
just in case. Right.
Whatever is going to happen.
Yeah, you gotta, that's the cliche saying, don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
So
perfect for Easter.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, I definitely I always thought that, and I always tried to live by that, by the types of products that I create, the different income streams that I generate around everything that I'm doing.
Right.
I always, if one gets cut off, that sucks, but I'll still have something coming in. And especially when it comes to the laser, I talk about this in my videos, some of my videos, and I'll always keep talking about it. Running a laser business is very much a you being in the room at all times thing, because you can't really leave it. And if you have jobs that are running for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever, you just have to be there. You can't cut that off. So if you're going to expand, the more you expand with your physical products, the more time it's going to take from you. That's why people end up buying more lasers, and then they hire people to do it because there's no other way to get away from it. And I lived that through several years of this. Yeah. Especially when I was in like the heyday of Make Supply, I never left because I had so many orders to cut and I couldn't leave. I had to physically cut them. So I definitely made sure to structure other streams of income. So if I need to go take a couple days, if I want to take a week off, like, okay, well, I'm going to lose that money, but I still have money coming in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and having more passive income streams, either the files, courses, training. YouTube, I wouldn't necessarily call it 100% passive, but just no. For us, it would kind of be passive only because right now we're just mostly uploading the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So for us, it would just be like we had this anyway. Yeah.
I'm the one who has to edit.
That's true.
So for you, it's passive.
Because it is like our host. We don't put it anywhere else.
As soon as these stop, you're done.
But what I'm saying is we were doing the podcast way before YouTube.
Yes.
We did it for what, almost a year before we did a year and a half before we added video. So that's what I mean as far as that. Yeah. And I just didn't remember that video, it has to live somewhere, and that's YouTube. But yeah, having that passive stuff makes it so that you kind of have something holding you over during those times off. And that's where like the keychain thingies and stuff that I sell when both of us go on vacation, I guess the orders don't stop, but the quick shipping does, unless I get an employee to do that stuff while we're gone. Well, a little bit, but like think about when we go to the conference, it's going to be down for like almost a week.
True, but you also, you tell your customers way in advance that, hey,
But inevitably.
There is
people who, no matter how many things you put on your website and your social media, they're like, oh, I need this. And you're like, cool, I'm in another state.
Yeah, can't get to those.
I can't.
That's kind of why I like Etsy for that reason, is when you put your thing on vacation mode, it just completely blanks your store out and they can't even see it. Like,
although
all I write is, I'm gone. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Peace out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Although I do kind of like the money that's coming in while I'm gone. But then it's also the anxiety of, I have all those orders to pack when I get home, and I'm tired from being gone.
Right.
So
so I usually, when I go away, when I leave, I cut off physical products, but obviously I leave up digital because that's the best when you get digital sales when you're not doing anything.
Yeah. So how do you have like normal work hours for yourself, or like how does that kind of work for you? And is the garage like at your home now? Do you have a warehouse anymore, or how does?
So yeah, I mean, my work hours are pretty regimented. Obviously now with the baby, it was more free form before the baby came. So, I try to come in anywhere between 8 and 8:30, and then I have to be out by 4:30 to get the baby because my wife works full time at a real job, so she can't get off like whenever she wants, like I can.
Yeah.
So it's usually around those hours. Sometimes I'll come in at night if I have to. And like right on the opposite side of that door is my house.
Nice.
Much better setup. So I loved having the workshop, but it was so expensive.
I know, that's a struggle we have. Like it's kind of goals for us in a way, but like in a way it's also not, because I know of like all the extra overhead and how much more we need to make, or how much less profit we're going to make, because now we have to pay the lease, and the rent and utilities and just all of that goes into it. And then when you first get it, you have to do the floors and you have to paint, and sometimes you have to do some construction and really turn it into what you want it to be. And we'll potentially have to get like a filter box because we won't easily be able to vent
that's why I had to buy one. I have it sitting right next to me still.
Yep. And so all of those things go into it, but then it's like I'm literally looking at our garage behind all of these lights and cameras, and it's like a disaster. And there's definitely some things we can do to clean it up and get it better, but like we really are already kind of like at max capacity. And so it's a struggle, again, like here, whenever we want to come to work, we just come into the garage. And, if there's a last minute order or last minute, whatever, it's kind of, it's easier to just come in here and do that, but it's still.
I guess we got to expand the garage.
I'm fine with that.
I know you are.
But that's also a lot of money too, because then expanding the garage.
City ordinances and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, but even just price, that's got to be like $50,000.
Don't know.
For an extra bay or two. No.
Not gonna look into it.
Why not? Then we would own it. No?
Not gonna look into it.
Why?
Because it's a lot of money that we don't have right now.
This is true.
So join Patreon.
Right? So we can expand our garage and still stay at home. Yeah, we have a similar cutoff time for the kids as well. My alarm starts to go off at 4, and that's when turn off the bedtime alarm.
Thank you for mentioning
when
alarms.
we record at night, we always forget to turn off the 10:30 start to get your ass to bed and not stay up until 2.
Mine's 10:30. Be in bed at that moment. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, I try to. I have to. I try to get because she still gets up early, so she gets up 6:37. So
so do ours.
Yeah, so I can't do it though. I can't survive without at least like 6 to 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. We've been doing it for so long though. Like we've been doing it since you had the late job and since we had JR.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier though.
No. And we're trying.
Before though,
but we still fail
before when I had a real job.
Yeah.
It was always like, well, I can drop them off and come back home and go back to sleep till like 10 or 11 because I didn't have to go back to work till 2:30. Now, every time from like the time I come home with them from 8:30, if I do anything but like edit something or some of that, I feel like I'm wasting time. I'm not using my time.
Well, yeah, because you're literally sleeping through work.
Exactly.
Instead of the other times where you went to work 2 to midnight.
Right. Well, I had like those set hours.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm losing out on potential leads. I'm not following up on emails.
Right.
Like it's like I choose to sleep instead of make money and survive. So it's hard.
Yeah.
It's harder now to do that. Now it's like, well, we're gonna run on 4 hours of sleep because we need to pay bills.
Right.
Instead of before, it's like, oh, I gotta go to work at 2:30.
Right. So what are your goals for the channel? Like I guess in the next few, year, whatever.
Yeah. So for this year, I had more of a goal of I want to do some course. I'm starting with 2 kind of mini courses, revolving around probably the S1 and the P2.
Nice.
Just to get the course thing out of. I haven't done a course before, so I want to do a small one. I know. I know you guys you did a course, right?
I highly recommend it, but I way underestimated.
I know
the stress and work that goes with it. Now
I'm gonna caveat that by you're doing videos, so you have familiarity editing and stuff like that.
Very true.
She was basically
I
going
was learning
through
how to
Silhouette.
build a website.
Well, and you were basically learning Silhouette all over again because you had to know it a little more in depth. Well, a little more in depth than what you were like.
The stuff
that you were playing with tools that you had never played with on there because you had to explain them now.
Yeah.
So you were in a sense learning Silhouette over again,
more in depth,
teaching it,
and
then teaching yourself how to build a website, and then teaching yourself how to edit, and all that because heaven forbid she, lets her husband, who's an editor.
Hey, no. But we tried, and it went horrible, and I had to re-edit all of that material. I spent 9 hours re-editing everything. I don't know how I did it in that time.
Just between us, I was using my work computer.
Yeah, I had to send it to him, and then he had to send it back, and then I don't even remember what issue we had.
Well, no, I didn't have administrative controls on my computer, so my how the format that I used at work wasn't the same format, but I didn't have the administrative like tools to change that in the software. So I was
it was the format.
Right, it was the format, and I couldn't change it. Where now you could just send me something on my computer and I got it.
True. Yeah.
It was I was working off of the work computer, which was
limited
to doing stuff outside of what we did day to day.
Right.
So and then
So that's true. I did all of that, and I did all of that in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
While I recorded the course.
Yeah.
So
well, that's good. I can give if I can't do it in 6 weeks, then I already know how to edit and I know how to do the web stuff, so I better be able to do it in 6 weeks.
That's true. And I would give yourself anybody who's thinking about putting a course out, if you're similar to me, and I took a course on how to make a course. And she said in the course, she was like, you need to pre-sale stuff before you even start. And I was like, while I'm taking the course, I'm like, you're insane. Like, I'm not doing that. And then a month went by, 2 months went by, 3 months went by. And what made me sit down and do it was the fact that I had people who paid for it and I had to produce something for the people who paid for it. Now, obviously, the people who pay for it the first time, you give them like a pretty hefty discount. They know that they're going to be like kind of the pilot to, your course. They give you feedback. There's some benefits to it. But if you have been talking about doing a course I've been talking about my second one for almost 2 years now. I know I'm probably going to eventually have to pre-sell them to make it a priority, because now that I know how much work goes into it, I'm procrastinating even more. I'm also overthinking it too. I know that, because I know I've gotten most of that work out of the way by learning it the first time.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so back to your courses. But I agree that that's definitely a good, like, your YouTube videos are great and they're super helpful, but having like an outlined course with like a plan and like it's different, and it definitely helps it takes people to the next level, but quicker. They don't have to, piece around your YouTube or even playlists if you have them and try to figure it out that way.
Yeah, so I want to start with these smaller ones that are kind of just going to be primers, maybe like an hour or two of content, maybe less.
That's great.
Just to go through it, because I really want to do a business related one. I kind of have a specific way that I think about. I mean, it's stuff that, a lot of people touch on certain aspects of it, but I have a way that I bundle everything that I do, whether, when I started Make Supply and how I gained traction to do that. I also applied it to Justin Laser, where, I got pretty good traction in 1 year of doing it. So I have like a method that I want to kind of let people know about. And, I was listening to your last episode, and I think you mentioned the quote of it being like the laser's like a business partner, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just think of the laser as a tool, and they can only do one thing, and that's cut stuff for you to sell.
Right.
And that is a big part of it, yes.
Right.
But you can incorporate it you can leverage it so many other ways that will also bring you, fun and money eventually. It's just you don't want to I don't want people to get stuck in just, hey, I have to like just figure out a way to start cutting and engraving stuff. It's the only way I can use this $15,000 piece of metal I have sitting here. That's just like wasting time and money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways you can bundle everything together and make that work for yourself.
So I guess tease one of those. What would be one that maybe people don't think about?
I mean, even when you're creating content for the things that you want to sell, you can monetize that content. So it makes double money. There's very few times where I'll create a piece of content that I don't have like double intentions for it.
Right.
Where, yes, I want the end thing to be sold, but I also am monetizing in some way, not just video and ads ad revenue, but even pre-sell a course or something like wrap your content that you're using already to get sales into something that can be monetized as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to, without a very specific example, but that is the only way I think about generating content. I rarely create a piece of content that I'm only going to use one way.
Right.
That's the way I try to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is similar or not, but like a lot of the plans I have for things I want to make, I'm making them simply to either show a technique. Like one of the ones we just did was I'm remaking I call it my best worst video on YouTube. It's my best performing video ever. And it's by far the worst production, because it has like the double, like, what do you call those?
Wings.
The wings, like with the blurred, because it was during COVID. He was at work working a bunch of hours. I wanted to record it while I was doing what I was doing. And it was so bad. But the content was still good. And I mean, obviously, because people were still kept watching, and they still watch it to this day. It's so I die of secondhand embarrassment every time. But anyway, any project I make now, I figure out how can I then what kind of tutorial can I make? Can I add this to my course to show people how to do this, or whatever, like, and then for you it's also okay, now it's content for you, and now it's like part of your portfolio of you showing like the video and the editing part and all of that. And so like anytime I go make something, it's not for okay, I'm just going to post this on Instagram. Most of the time it's I'm teasing a tutorial I'm making, or whatever.
And it's there's a lot of social media content that kind of only, or social media guidelines that I think only scratch the surface of what you like. Post to Instagram, post to YouTube, post to TikTok. Why are you posting to these specific platforms? Do the people that you hope to reach actually consume content on these platforms?
For sure.
You should understand what you're doing to a somewhat of a degree, but the more you understand it, the more you can repurpose one thing many different ways, and then it just saves you time. And so it's going to be a very specific example will be how I actually started with Make Supply is, I would give a lot of times I would give away a free PDF printout. And that was the patterns back in the day, because there wasn't for laser yet. People would print them out and then use them as patterns. So I would give a free one. Then that would kind of be like a lead magnet. So people would start following me. And eventually I would be like, okay, well, a little bit more money, I'll sell you the digital files so you can cut it on your laser if you want. So I upscaled it a little bit in price. And then, okay, well, you want the acrylic one, I have to cut that for you. So that's even more expensive. And then there was a time period where I would laser cut the physical leather and ship that out to people in case they didn't know how to cut it yet and they were just trying it out. So that would be even more expensive. And then another layer up I would also do is if someone wanted the actual journal, like I have a prop. So here's one of my journal patterns. It comes with a little pen slot. Someone would be like, can I just buy that? Can you make that for me? And I'll buy that. Well, there was a time period where I would do that. Like, all right, well, that'll be $80 to $100, but I'll do it. So I monetized that one design like
all the way
different ways, all the way up the scale.
Super
and that's
smart.
How I try to think of almost every product that I do, if possible. It's not always possible, but
do you do all that? Like, do you have an email list too? Do you do all of that like through an email list? Do you have like a?
I do. So I have an email list for Make Supply that I haven't touched. I haven't really done anything with Make Supply social wise in over almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But I still get orders from it because of the content that I created back in the day.
Yeah. Wow.
But I have one with Justin Laser now. So I do, in the videos I say, hey, I don't use it as much as I want to, but I kind of send out updates and, free thoughts that I think about when I'm doing videos and business stuff and ideas like that. But I am collecting the emails, which again is another point that I'll make to people. Obviously you guys know this, collect emails. Otherwise they're not your customers.
Yeah. Right. I need to get more on that.
Because they're not your customers unless you have direct contact to them.
Yeah. I saw I saw a reel from Brock Johnson on IG. He's a big like IG guy. So much like I think his mom was like an IG like queen. He kind of like grew up in it.
Right.
Anyway, he had posted one today and he was I think today or the other day about the email list, and I'm like, stop attacking me. Because it's like, you don't own those followers. They can be gone in a second, either because, your account was wrongfully deactivated or you were hacked, or when the internet goes down, everyone freaks out because all of that's gone. And so you have to have a way. And like, even with Etsy, that's a little bit trickier because you don't even own the emails on your Etsy orders. When you get those, you can't send
those
them.
Those are Etsy customers. They're not your customers.
Right.
Yeah,
And so you kind of have to like, have that nice thank you card, or have a way like, send like a thank you card that says 5% off when you sign up on my email list or
right.
something like that. Because I'm pretty sure that's within their terms of service, including stuff in your order that might get them, somewhere else.
Right.
But using their email on the order from Etsy is not allowed. So again, you don't even if you have 100,000 sales on Etsy, great, but like you don't own those email addresses. And so making sure that you have that, even the people who hate emails and hate email marketing, like everyone revolves around, like if you get something important, it's email. If you get your bill, it's like everything comes through email. So it's like it's your contact, and especially it's your contact if something happens to any of your social media accounts or even your website. Hey, my website's down, bear with me, it'll be up tomorrow, the next day, whatever. That's something we need to get better about, like pushing. And I even told you it's a way for you, with your video and editing and stuff. It's when you meet people at the events and stuff, and telling them like, hey, give them like a free video or a super discounted video for signing up on your email list.
Or just like, it's funny you say that because we just went to one, and like probably by the time he left the meeting and went went to his office, he probably started emailing everyone he met. Because I got an email saying, hey, it was great seeing you.
Yeah.
If you need any, he was an IT guy. If you need any IT or hardware stuff, be sure to let me know. And if you know anyone, send them my way. And
you immediately thought of my computer that is ancient and
that we
needs
keep
some love.
I've changed the battery on it twice already.
Twice. I mean, so the first time we probably didn't actually need to replace it. The problem is it doesn't charge unless it's off. So, and I'm really bad about charge.
She's
so
really
it does.
Bad about a lot
it
of
does.
things. If you see the amount of tab, I don't know how that computer. Man, props to that computer. What is it? Is it an HP?
Yes.
Let's give him a plug because man, it's an HP off of Amazon. And the amount of tabs that this woman keeps. And shout out to Apple iPhone too, because the other day your phone was acting up. I'm like, let me just close some of these tabs because you were trying to turn it off anyway.
How many? Did you even try?
I
knew. Listen, I knew you were gonna notice that. And
it
I
was like
shit. I should have closed.
It was
tabs.
like scrolling on Instagram, like death scrolling, because it was like, and it was just closing out apps. And I'm like, how is this phone How is this phone not burning out? How is her computer still working? Like 16, man, is it 16 gigs of RAM? Goes a long way with all the tabs that she has open.
Whoops.
And all the windows that are open. Not even just tabs.
I have to, like, if I don't have a tab open, it's like it doesn't exist to me.
It does.
No.
It's the whole.
Not in my brain.
Listen, at the end, there's like an arrow because there are more tabs.
No, I don't. No. I don't do that many. As soon as it gets to the end, they just get smaller.
You can't even read them. They're like one letter.
I know what they are by their logo. Can we not roast me? This is not.
I mean.
Anyway, the email worked. Okay.
Yes, it
did.
It did. So yeah, more emails.
Yeah.
Definitely collect emails. Yeah.
Yes. So, like I have 15,000 some sales on Etsy. I have no idea how many actual customers I have on Etsy because it doesn't track them that way. But if I go into my Shopify site, I have every email there. And in fact, it pushes them to my list. So you just have to be mindful of that. Anywhere you're on a platform where you don't have access to the email, they are not your customer. They're the platform's customer. Same with YouTube. If my YouTube got zapped, well, some people would get my messages, but not a lot. Not 24,000, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and how long did it take you to get to that amount, like from start to finish? You did say that, like in that first year, you had some pretty good traction. So how did the growth go on that?
On YouTube or Etsy?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Yeah. So I did pretty good in the beginning. It was a little slow the first couple months. I had a goal for myself. I was like, well, if I can hit 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers in the first year, I'll continue doing this. But it's also like I've done this before. Sure. I have another channel with 70,000 subscribers.
Okay.
I have an idea of how this works and how to
I need that
build.
Course.
Yeah.
The YouTube course.
I'll be one of your tests.
I spend far too much time watching like grow on YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just, it does work. Some of it works. A lot of it's kind of BS, but some of it does work.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I started posting some videos about Etsy, I was kind of like 5 products, laser products that are kind of offbeat that you can try on Etsy. Because I also try to stress to people, you don't have to do all the standard stuff that you see with your laser. There's a lot of, yes, tumblers are popular. Yes, trucker hats or patch hats are popular, and people love these things. So they are popular. But there's so many different ways and angles you can attack your laser business that people just don't really go an extra layer deep. So I actually spend a lot of time on Etsy just searching through. I just dig through listings and I'm like, oh, wow, that's a cool product. Yeah. Or that's something I didn't think of using a laser for. And so I started showcasing a couple of these on these videos, and those really popped off. I kind of had an idea that they would, because, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I just look at what was already getting views. And I was like, well, I'm going to make my own version of this kind of video. And that's just what you do to get started. And then once you get started, you can kind of make your own things, and people start following you for you instead of just finding what they're looking for.
Yeah, my favorite interviews are like, we have one scheduled. I think we have her at the end of May. And she actually makes, man, I don't even know what, she does a lot of things with like thread and string. I don't even know what her like end product is. But she makes these, like little, they're not keychains, but you kind of put them on like a key ring or a ring or something. And it's like where there's a bunch of little squares and you put the thread through it, either to know like that color or where you got it, or, patterns, like that kind of stuff. But it wasn't the normal tumbler hats, like whatever, like, and those things can make a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But also
they make money because people want to buy them. So it is something that's
right. But like also
don't knock it.
Yeah, also finding that unique thing and like selling to other makers who maybe can't afford a laser. Like one thing I wanted to make and just never really got into it, and I don't even know if it's a thing now, but at the time the bleached shirts were trending like crazy. Yeah. And people were bleaching the sleeves, and people were selling the acrylic patterns in like a cheetah pattern or stars. And so you spray bleach on it, and now there's bleach in just like the star pattern. Right. And so a lot of people, especially people who are starting out with shirts, they can't always go out and afford a $5,000 laser to cut a template. And so finding ways to do templates for people in niches who maybe either don't
literally my business.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it helps those people, make their product faster and easier. And then eventually they may need to make their own templates or, whatever. Right. But finding that unique template or thing, like one that was really cool that I maybe existed but just didn't hit the laser world, was also for t-shirts, and it was like a ruler to find the center. And I always struggled, my perfectionist self, to find the center on t-shirts and stuff, and those are great for, and they sold like crazy when they first came out. So trying to find that, unique thing, there's I mean there's tons of them for even cakes and bakeries, and making like Mylar templates for cupcakes and cookies and all those kind of things, because they spend tons of money on all their baking stuff. Again, they may not have the time or money to spend on buying the machine, but then they also have to learn something. They have to learn a laser when they probably just want to focus on making,
which is
cakes and
outside
whatever.
of what they already know. Just
It's adding more work to yourself.
Most people who are buying like cake toppers and other small businesses who are buying supplies from like the average person really has no idea what a laser engraving or laser cutter is.
90%
when I walk around
Glowforge.
like when I walk around my neighborhood and I introduce myself to the other parent, I'm like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm an accountant. And I'm like, what are you? I work with lasers. I do laser cutting. Then it's like, oh, cool. They have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So
but And like we're in this world where we talk to each other, so we think everybody has a laser and knows what a laser does, when the average person has no idea.
Clue.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to go in thinking like that, so you can offer anything.
Yeah, you really can't. I mean, when we went to Podfest, I knew people would kind of be like, huh? Because again, like soccer and all those other things, you tell people, you know, oh, I own a laser engraving and cutting business. They're like, cool. What does that do?
Yeah, exactly.
And so at Podfest, the first night we went there, because we had so many puzzled looks, and they don't ask. They're just like, oh, okay.
Right.
And so then I was like, okay, I took like a short.
Be like, man, that's really niche.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it was a laser podcast. Yeah. And so I made a video of literally my laser cut. I took one of the recent things we made and took a video of my laser cutting, and what it made at the end. It was like a 13-second video, because, you know, obviously standing there, they don't want to watch something for
2 minutes.
Yeah. But I needed that in order to like
a visual aid.
Yeah. And something we've had on our list since you quit your job was to make a video, a short one, explaining what we do, because no one ever understands or knows. And it's hard for us to even articulate sometimes. It's like, oh, I can make stuff out of wood and acrylic and tumblers.
Yeah,
and they're
exactly.
like, cool. You mean the resin? Or, you know, they won't even know that it's resin and epoxy, but they're like, oh yeah, those ones with all the colors. And we're like, no, not those ones.
I don't even attempt to go into what I actually do. Like, yeah, I cut little shapes out of acrylic and sell them to people on the internet. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
right. When really, when you dumb it down, that's what you do. But yeah.
That's exactly what I do. And I've been doing it for a long time. It's just like, I can't explain it to you. I don't know. It's just something that works somehow, because I guess there's a lot of people in the world that need this stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that's a great way to say it, is that just people don't know. Most people don't know what they are. And hell, we've said this even a few times on the podcast. Rhett, who you met when we went to his studio, he was like, he didn't know what it was, and we literally looked around his room, and he had 3 or 4 laser cut items like in his office, and we're like, that was made on a laser, that was made on a laser, that, and he was like, oh, and like he kind of got it, but he still probably didn't get it 100%. He didn't understand like the actual, you know, how process. It was made, yeah. So
yeah. So and then back to the point we were talking about with, you know, finding unique products. Yes, your unique product won't probably be as plentiful as if you were going out trying to get tumbler orders and stuff, because that's a very popular product. But what I always tell people is, when you have a more unique product, focus online, because on Etsy, on your own website, it's a worldwide marketplace. You can sell to anybody in the world. So there's always there'll be enough people in the world to make up the difference. Whereas if you try to sell it locally, you might not get as much, because you're banking on there being people who need this very unique thing, and probably not a lot of people do. So it's just like, look, go online. That's why I'm not an in-person person. I don't do craft shows. I don't do that, because no one's going to buy my stuff, really, unless I started selling wallets again.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to do that.
Well, or you'd have to go, or you'd have to go to like a very specific, I don't know if they even exist, like a maker one where they're like, oh, I want to get into that, or I already do that, and you know, that makes it easier. But yeah, you're finding a very specific customer in a much smaller pool.
Very hard. Yeah. So I don't do anything in person. I am a completely online guy. Nice. So if people ask me about craft shows, I don't really know.
Right.
But if you want to ask me about like Etsy and selling on Shopify, like that kind of stuff, I do know.
Yeah.
Because that's what even before this, I worked in e-commerce as my day job. So
nice.
I kind of have an idea of how the internet stuff goes, and I don't plan on changing that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything?
And no, just to touch on that, like super unique stuff as well. Sometimes when you're first starting off, and you think about tumblers and everything like that, it could be it can be daunting, because so many people are making it. You feel like it's saturated, like there's no room, even though there might be.
Why are they going to buy mine over the 14 other people who?
Right, and then they have a name, they've been doing it longer than I am. It takes kind of some of that off. takes that away because you're like, oh well, no one's making this yet,
Right.
so maybe
you're just competing with yourself, really.
right,
Yeah.
right, or like a lot less of a pool than the tumblers, the hats, and that.
I'd say start with something that you enjoy.
Of course, 100%.
You don't, have like a niche that will help you, like if you have a passion for fishing, make, things that go with fishing or fishing themed gifts or whatever. It just makes it, then it keeps the interest, the joy.
Right.
If you're just trying to make what you think sells, I will tell you every single thing I have made that I think is going to be a huge hit. It never is.
Yeah.
And the one thing I make that I'm like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. Nobody's going to buy it. Everyone buys it.
Just think of that last really awesome reel that you made that you're really proud of that no one saw.
Yeah. Perfect example. The one that I did on Easter tags. Did we talk about this already on here? I don't know. I feel like I did. No, I feel like it was on one of the quick impromptu lives we did.
Oh, right.
So we put all this work into recording the content of me making these UV reactive Easter basket tags for the boys. And, he recorded all of it. Like we recorded them with their Easter baskets and getting Easter eggs and doing all these things. And it did okay. I mean, especially by standards now, my views and engagement have been absolute trash lately. And so, it did okay. And then someone asked in the comments, oh, UV reactive, what is this sorcery? And so I've always wanted to have the opportunity when someone asks a question to respond with a reel, because I just never done it before, so I wanted to try it.
Good idea.
So I took the baskets again and I literally recorded just me walking outside with them and showing them changing color, and that performed far better than the one that initially got them in there, and has way more likes and like 3 or 4 times views from like a lot of non-followers, and I got like I think 3 or 4 new followers just from that video. But it's a perfect example of like the other one I was thinking about the song and like which videos and trying to like, it took all this time to put it together, and then the one that took me literally 13 seconds walking outside
that's always how it goes.
Better. Right. And so doing that with your business too is important, and like sure, put some time into it, put some research into it, like do it, put it out and see what happens, but don't, Crystal, overthink it. And just, put something out there and like just see how it does. You honestly never know. I mean, how many people have we had on the show who are like, I posted this one like keychain or sign, and all of a sudden I had 100 orders.
Started off wanting to do tumblers, and they make like a special sign, and now all they make is that sign with different names because it took off.
Yeah.
It's like, but I got into this to make tumblers.
Right.
That's what happened with me. I got in to make little laser cut wallets that I was going to sell as gifts. Yeah. I ended up selling. I did a couple of those kits at Christmas time. Every once in a while, I'd bring them back for the holidays because they did sell a little bit.
Right.
But everything went into me cutting acrylic. I did not expect it to be that. But that's just what people wanted from me. And like, who am I to not please the market, right? You want to give me money to do something, I'll do it. So
give the people what they want.
It was the exact same thing. I didn't go in planning to do that, but it just ended up being what I did.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing, is pivoting in your business when you see that there's an interest in something you're doing. It's the whole reason keychain thingies exist. I literally I posted about them to see what the heck they were and where to get them. And I saw all these other people wanted to know as well, and probably didn't want to order 10,000 of them from China like I do. So, they order 100 from me, or as little as 25 from me, and then that exploded to 300 products on the keychain side. And then the podcast was you. And we recorded 5 before we even released them, because I was like, ugh.
It's also why we're here now and not on the couch.
Yeah.
Because I was very against video, because I knew how much work it was going to cost.
Yeah.
It was going to,
right. Yeah.
And then people kept.
I'm glad you did. because I don't listen to podcasts. I will only watch video on YouTube.
Oh,
So
wow.
if there is a podcast that's not on YouTube as video, I will not watch it. So there you
Good
go.
to know. I mean, and I
Right?
think we have a lot of
Different
those
customers,
viewers.
right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, thankfully with the podcast, we were able to expand into that because I did hear a lot in the beginning before we started YouTube. Oh, I don't listen to podcasts.
Right.
And there was people I literally who decided, okay, they thought there might be something to it, so I had to like teach them like how to download an episode or where to go get an episode on their iPhone.
Right. But almost everyone does YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second largest search engine behind Google. Good to be on it.
Yep.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I didn't ever think about that.
Yeah, I use it for
because
everything.
I go to Google first. Sometimes it depends on what it is.
I usually go to YouTube first, unless it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like when did this happen?
Right. Yeah.
You know, if it's like, you know, how to fix this, YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, how to do this,
For
how
sure.
how to, it's always YouTube.
Why is
100%.
mine-
What's going on? Your alarm going off?
Uh-oh, sorry, hold on. All right, sorry.
Okay.
Back to the show.
And back.
Quick family
we're back,
emergency.
yes.
It's minor, though, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay. I mean, we're probably about to wrap up soon, too.
Yeah.
So, first, oh, crap, you told me the codes, too. Do you
Well,
remember them? If you don't remember them, I do.
While you look that up, where can people find you? Like,
Yes.
where would you like people to go?
Yeah, so I'm basically mainly only on YouTube right now. So YouTube at Justin Laser. I have justinlaser.com. You can sign up for my email list for emails that I will eventually send at some point in my life. And I also have a Facebook. It's justinlaser.com spelled out on Facebook. But I post here and there. But mostly just on YouTube, and I will be through my website for now. Do I have anything else?
I mean, you have some pretty cool content on Make Supply IG.
Thanks.
That
one. Yeah,
So-
if you're into leather stuff and you haven't heard of the stuff, haven't seen any of the things that I did. So I do have some free leather SVGs and stuff. If you want to check out Make Supply Leather, there's some on the blog. And then I also offer some for sale as well, which I'll segue into the...
Yeah, so he gave general admission people, as you call it, 25% off, and even more for our patrons.
But I mean, 25 for general admission.
That's sometimes that's people's like exclusive.
Yeah, hey, don't give that away.
Oh, sorry.
Don't let them know how much much those people get.
That's true.
If they want to know,
that
they gotta
or higher. Right. That's true. But code Riley Black 25 gets you 25% off your templates. And now, so the templates, are they on both your website and Etsy? Did you say?
So it's for the website, and it's for the laser. There's a section called Source Laser Ready files. So files that I formatted, like SVG files and stuff that you can kind of just import right into your laser to cut either patterns or right out of leather to do projects. So that section of the site, the code will work on those.
Cool. Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on and spending an hour of your time with us.
And becoming a patron.
And being
no
a patron.
problem.
Yes.
See you guys at next level.
Yes. Are you going to be there?
Yeah.
Yay.
I just booked my flight and my hotel, which was brutal.
I
the
know.
price. I'll just
cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've wanted to have him on for a while. I think his videos I don't know, it's been at least probably 6 months ago or so, and then he had commented on a couple, and each time he'd comment, I'm like, that's right, I need to reach out to him. And then shiny things, and then I wouldn't, and then he became a patron. I was like, his email is right here, I'm just gonna respond.
Got him. See, emails.
Emails. You got to collect emails. That's how you get patrons. That's how you get sales. Just collect emails.
For sure.
Well, we'll see you in Tulsa, and we'll see you guys next in our life update coming up. And we are back, and yet another reason to be excited for next level.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm excited about all the people who I haven't already met, like in person, or who weren't able to go to the other ones who are going this time. David, who I don't think I've met him. No, I haven't met him in person. Because the first one he went to was LBX. and
Right.
we weren't able to make it to that one.
Yeah. Never. Hashtag never again.
Right? Never missing a conference. But yeah, so speaking of that,
Seeing people at
today
conferences, yeah.
I was at the nail shop and I was almost done with my nails. She was almost done, doing the design and stuff. And there was a lady who had been talking behind me, and I had heard her say at some point that she did like sales for like a sign shop. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, they probably do like bigger scale.
Right.
I literally told myself last week I'm not doing any more signs. I wrote
sure
them
you guys
off
remember
for
that.
life.
And sticking to cake toppers and tumblers.
Yeah. And so anyway, I heard her talking about that, and then I think they started talking about like what they have like coming up, and she's like, oh yeah, I have this sign conference I'm going to in Orlando, because the nail technician was actually talking about how she was going to like a nail conference.
Oh, okay.
I think it was literally called NailCon. And so they were talking about that, and I was like, she's sign conference, and I was like, wait, I'm going to that too. And she was like, really? And like, she was pretty surprised because like, it's a very specific, that's like if I ran into someone, as she says, and we say all the time, in the wild, who's going to next level. If I don't already know you as like a laser owner and you said you were going to this, I'd be like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I understand her, her reaction. And then she was like, what do you do? And I was like, I own a laser engraving and cutting business. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, do you wholesale? And I was like, oh, see, I don't know. I told myself I wasn't going to do any more signs. And she was like, oh, and I guess the shop that they have, they only have a Glowforge right now. And my face said everything because I said nothing. And I think my face accidentally spoke for me. And she was like, I know, it was really cheap. Someone was getting rid of it, so we took it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we were just talking about like lasers back and forth, and the nail techs were like, what is happening? But it was cool. I mean, you never know who you're going to run into. And I mean, she was like, she goes, wait, like in Vero? And I was like, well, Sebastian, but yeah. And so this was clearly her first interaction running into someone who owned a laser, here. And I don't know how long she's been here or like, if she's new to the area or anything. But yeah, it was kind of cool. And so I'm going to email her and make that connection so that, when and if she needs something, if it's something I want to do, I was thinking about it even after I initially kind of said no to her. I said no, then maybe.
Right.
Like if she just needs me to like cut something and they put it together, sign me up. Depending on what it is, like I'll cut them for you and you can put them together. Or especially if you're making the design and I don't have to do the design part and you just send it to me and I cut it and give it back to you or you come get it. Yeah. So
and then we also ran into somebody at networking. The screen printing. Oh well, the
T-shirt shop,
printing and graphic, because
printing
it's
and
more
graphics.
than just
more than just T-shirts.
Printing and graphic. He was talking about he was going to an expo in Orlando, and we were like, "Is that? Will you be talking about ISA?" And he's like, "Yeah." How do you? And like, well, we're going to.
Right. Yeah. For a different reason, he's going to potentially source a UV printer, which a lot of people are going there for that because, again, a lot of people use UV printers for. Signs and graphics and materials and stuff. So
when this episode airs,
will we
be there or already there?
Well,
no, we would have already been there.
Yeah, for the general admission people. For our patrons, it'll air on Friday, and we'll still be there. So we're going up.
It's not this Friday; it's next Friday.
Yeah, so we're going up Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
And then we'll stop by and hang out for a couple hours.
See, this is why you need to be a patron.
Yeah.
Because you're listening to this. If you're not a patron, you're listening to this after it happened.
Yeah, days after it happened.
Yeah. So we're talking about it happening.
And then we'll be there all day Thursday and all day Friday. At least that's the plan. We'll see once we get there. But
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see that red line series. I'm really excited.
I want it so bad.
I don't even use the laser, then I'm excited to see that red line series.
It's sexy. And yeah, I'm excited to see it too. And I mean, we've even talked about, potentially selling my 9 and getting a 7 because I mean, as much as I think I'm going to do big projects
if there's an equivalent to a 7.
Yeah. True.
In the series.
And I mean, I think so. Well, I mean, hell, we don't know.
We don't know anything.
So yeah,
we don't know anything.
So we'll see. I'm hoping that there is. I think there is because they said series, so that means more than one.
Right. Yeah.
But whatever the equivalent to that. Just because I mean, the things I really like doing are the smaller things. As long as it can engrave a tumbler, most tumblers.
Right.
Can do keychains, can do cake toppers, can do baby milestones. I
was telling you the only thing we'll lose is the space for content because normally I'm able to get in there with the camera along
and put it
with
way over here, and I'm here.
Right. So we'll be a little more on top of each other.
Yeah, I'll just have to move out of the way, and your camera will be monitoring the laser instead of my eyeballs, or I'll be eyeballing it from over here instead of right
through
there.
my viewfinder.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about seeing. I mean, I don't even know how many people now. I feel like I should write a list now because I think I'm gonna forget people because Tara, who I see on your notes from 2 weeks ago, she's gonna be there. I think for one day. Lauren with Barley and Oak, Lizzie with the House of Timber, the
Amanda, Cerulean
the not the sign guy, the printing and graphics guy we just met, Mike.
Justin now.
Oh crap! What was her name? The one I just met. I think it's Sarah. Don't kill me if that's wrong. But the girl I literally met the
terrible
the nail shop
the first
really
time.
bad.
Is James gonna be there or no?
Times. I don't know if James is going.
Yeah, forget. We'll have to go back and listen to his episode.
Yeah, or I could text him.
True.
And just ask him, you going?
Hey.
Yeah, I feel like he probably wouldn't be going because he still works at the marble shop.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to ask him to, see because I want to see all these people that I mean, half of them I haven't met in person.
Right.
So that'll be Marissa with Pearl and Pine. We had her on originally with that crazy snake story. You know what would be cool? This is my ADHD brain
get her
here.
A snake?
No, to have someone illustrate that story.
Oh,
because man, that story.
You say that,
and we don't have video for that because it was before video.
Back, man, when I first started, the Rogan clips. Somebody would animate those.
That's so cool.
And into they tell stories, but they would animate the stories into what happened with their.
Can we? Yeah. I want that to be a goal of ours.
Yeah, I mean,
because that would be fun.
Yeah,
expensive potentially, but
I mean, we do it for those certain stories.
That'd be because cool. I have literal the pictures I made in my head from what she was telling us happened.
Right.
So I'd love to have it's the reels that are animated and it's the audio and some goofy looking animal is doing voicing to the audio. But so ISA, I'm excited about that. So the next podcast, I wonder, I mean, hopefully maybe we'll have Amanda on and we'll talk to her about the podcast, or not the podcast, the move and ISA and all that.
And all that stuff.
It's been hard to schedule the podcast lately, just with life.
Yeah. And,
so it's kind of been a lot of
busy.
Yeah.
Not like that, but
but it's been harder to schedule it during the day because then it kind of conflicts with other things that we have to do or want to do, either with networking or shoots or whatever,
meetings,
and then so I'm scared to schedule it too far out and then
something happens.
and then either have to reschedule them or move it around or whatever.
Well,
so
we can like loosely schedule and say, hey, we'll circle back a week before, 2 weeks before.
Yeah, that's true.
And make sure it works for both of us. But tentatively.
Yeah, like if, as long as nothing changes, this is when you'll be or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and we should definitely do that for the daytime ones. If we schedule any daytime ones, just say, hey, heads up. But also on that, what did we purchase today?
Well, we did some things.
We did a very adult purchase.
So I was
made
on a shoot.
JR cry. Bawled his eyeballs out.
He really cried. He really cried. So a few weeks ago, I had a shoot down in Fort Lauderdale, and it's a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
And
with Amanda.
Yeah, with Amanda.
Yeah.
Once I got there, I noticed my gear, which was in the bed of my truck, was hot.
Yeah.
Not super hot, but these cameras, as you record through the day, they get hot themselves.
Right,
just
so you don't
running.
want them starting.
So I don't want them to get hot in travel and then just get hotter from there.
Right.
And I had been daydreaming of a production van.
Yes.
And although I didn't get a production van.
We were literally talking about production vans, I think, on the way up there, and if it made sense and like what we and he was like, "Oh, well, for now, it has to also double as your vehicle to get kids to school and whatever, because your truck is mostly the vehicle we use
to get around.
Getting around, because although my Pathfinder, I love my Pathfinder. Yeah. And it's 3 rows, but it doesn't function well with 3 rows with the car seats. Right. Because you have to literally take the car seat out to get the car, like...
It'll get better once JR's in a booster.
Right, because then you can actually fold one of it up.
We can move that booster.
But when they're in a full car seat, like that third row is non-existent unless they can climb.
The car seat.
Right.
To not even if you can climb. You have to unhook the car seat just to fold that chair. So... With that said, we purchased...
and we have your mother-in-law here now.
No,
I say that every time.
Your mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law, your mother.
Yes, she's with us now,
and
then
she
for
goes
soccer
with
and
us.
stuff,
Yeah.
she has to climb over the car seat to get into the middle.
Right.
So we got a minivan.
And climb up into the truck.
Yeah. So we got a minivan. Yep. And you have to climb up in the truck, which is getting harder and harder these days.
I do, because my body's falling apart on me.
So we purchased a minivan.
Yeah.
It's a
red one.
Yes, on brand. It's burgundy.
I mean, come on.
So now we have your black Pathfinder and the burgundy minivan, which will be wrapped.
Yes.
Hopefully. So I'm gonna email him tomorrow.
Yeah, and see
get him,
throw
him the ideas and see what he comes up with the ideas. What are you looking at? What happened?
I don't know. I heard a noise.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
So. The minivan will be wrapped. It's easier for we tried out in Colorado.
It works great.
With JR in the back in his car seat, and then Jackson and my mom.
Yep.
But as soon as we got home from school, JR saw the van, and he was excited. And then he's
Initially.
like, So I asked him yesterday because we saw it yesterday. I had asked him if he would like a van like the one we had in Colorado.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. But, I'm going to have to sell the truck.
Right.
And he's like, no, I want both. I'm like, well, we can't have both right now,
Doesn't work like that right now.
Down the road, once the van starts paying us
yeah.
with jobs, then we can get a better truck, a newer truck.
Yeah.
Or when you start driving, you can get a truck.
Right.
But he wanted both. So when we pulled up...
Just picturing him driving.
When we pulled up today after school... And he's like, whose car is that? Yeah. I'm like, that's our new van that I was talking to you about yesterday. Yeah. And then he's like, well, what about the truck? I'm like, well, I'm going to have to sell the truck. My man started crying, real life tears.
He's our sensitive guy.
He's like, but I want both. I don't want to sell the truck. He loves the truck.
Yeah, he does.
He really likes the truck. But the truck is going to be gone. So if you're in the market for a 2009 F-150 and are in Florida, feel free. Is that your sister?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm just checking.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
The real life updates of my...
So, that break we took.
We'll see. We might leave some of it in because...
I'm going to leave some of it in, but not like the whole thing because there was a lot of dead air while you were reading the text.
That's true. Yeah. So thankfully, it sounds like she's going home soon, that some of the swelling has
allergic reaction to pistachios.
She thinks she doesn't know. But
okay.
yeah, she hasn't had Advil, so it's a new allergy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which I think they might have told her that in the beginning. It sucks because once you have an allergic reaction like that, that's that severe. Once you have a severe allergic reaction, it's more common to happen again
with other things.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was like, well, and it may not have been like completely other things, but maybe things that are similar to Advil or whatever, which was her initial one, I believe. But yeah, sis is okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyway,
so
he had a hard time.
Yeah.
And then you sweetened the deal a little bit by.
So then he was crying. I'm like, well, do you want to go out and look at it?
Right.
And he did, and I had completely forgot about that feature. But we're opening the doors, and he's inside. He's calming down a little bit. I'm like, hey, JR, look at this. And then I flip down because it has the DVD player. Although we don't have any DVDs because we got rid of them.
We don't, yeah.
When we were paring down because we didn't have a DVD player.
Yeah.
He's like, it has a TV? I'm like, well,
kind of.
It's a DVD player.
Yeah.
But we could watch movies on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, stop crying. He still doesn't want to sell the truck, but he's a little bit better.
Oh my God, I didn't tell you. When I went in the room, I think you were in the bathroom or something. When I went in the room to go do my part of bedtime, he was like all
I was in here getting ready.
Oh yeah, he was all mopey.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and I wasn't gonna ask, and then I was like, okay, clearly something's bothering me. I was like, what's wrong? I thought like he was playing around and got like scolded or something right before I got in there. And so I was like, what's wrong, buddy? And he's like, I don't want to sell the truck. And it was really hard not to laugh because, I get it. I was devastated when my mom told me we were leaving the house that I had, grown up in, I think up to like 5th grade.
Right.
I was devastated. I didn't want to move. I wanted to stay there. I didn't understand why we were
had
leaving.
the truck for like 9 months.
Yeah.
It's not like he grew up because my mom was saying that
he always liked your car when we had your company vehicle,
right?
And because it was just different than that's because we got the truck, and the truck was even better. It was higher.
He did when I had the Ram before.
Oh yeah,
he liked
when we took Daddy's car.
Bed.
Yeah. There's an adorable picture of him sitting in his.
I think we'll have to buy him a model, like a scale model, like
that would
a
be a good
die-cast
idea. Yeah.
truck, and be like, hey man.
And then Jackson will steal it because he's obsessed with cars.
We'll get him a smaller one too. We'll get him
get them their own.
We'll get them their trucks.
But yeah, so he was like, oh, I don't want to sell it, and I was like, I know, buddy. I'm like, well, right now it's just what we need to do. It's what's best for our family and for Daddy's business. And I was like, maybe we can buy another truck later, or it's just right now it's not. We can't afford 2 trucks. I mean, we just don't need it. The same reason, it's the same reason the person that we bought it from was selling it because they didn't need it anymore.
Right. Because the truck would literally just sit there for I don't even know when we would use it. Just use it to use it.
Right.
So it'd be
like they were. She was like, I'm forcing myself to drive it once a week.
Right.
So
not
that
like we have a
doesn't
payment
just
on it,
sit there.
but we'd have to cover insurance and
which is like a payment. $100 and something
not these
now.
days.
Yeah.
Car payments add another
No,
zero
I'm
to
saying,
those. But yeah, it is another expense. No, it's a total another expense. But yeah. So we're selling the truck. So if you're in Florida and you need an F-150, 2009, 163,000 miles.
Right.
And we got a what is it? Chrysler Town and Country. I wanted to say a Dodge Caravan because it's basically the same van.
Right.
Just one's Dodge, one's Chrysler.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty. I'm a minivan guy now.
Yeah. I fought it.
Yeah, you did.
I have not been a fan.
Nope.
And he finally convinced me when he was like, okay, it'll be my vehicle. Because I didn't want to turn in my Pathfinder for...
Right. No, and then honestly...
Although I do hate the doors. I mean, we literally, we went to the beach this weekend.
That was the final stop for her. She was like, we need a van.
It was like, we had been talking about it, kind of.
I had stopped looking.
And I literally go, JR, careful with the door. Boom. I'm like... So
she's like, we
yeah,
need a
and
van.
Jackson is a freaking wrecking ball. So I can just
When he starts opening doors.
yeah, I might have to take the minivan to like take him places because we might have to get a second one at that point, and maybe then we can afford the ones that look less minivanish.
The
At
Kia
that
Carnival.
point, yeah, that one. So yeah, I've been fighting it, but I think it's really, and when we found, like, when we kind of like realized it would be both twofold business and family and easier for everyone involved, it just like you have to you have to get over
And if we-
how it
and if
looks
we
because
ever
it's most
need-
functional for what we got.
And honestly, if we ever need a truck bed and I fold the second row and the third row, it's bigger than my bed now.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we win.
Yeah. So wish us lots of paying jobs and lots of camera equipment that he has to put in the back. And he had a great meeting today with a potential client. So send us some good vibes that kind of turns into,
two other ones in limbo that are also potentially just as big.
Yeah.
But things are moving, and hopefully once we wrap the van and I'm driving around town, people start seeing the branding, the logo.
Well,
and
I mean,
everything.
think about it. We saw one guy, and all he had was it wasn't like branding or anything. He had a vinyl sticker on the back, and it was like something productions.
Yeah,
on
but
Instagram. But we turned around and we looked him up, and you know what I mean.
I mean, I looked at him because I'm a production guy. I don't know if somebody else.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is, like, with just something that catches people's eye, especially if you're sitting at a gas station. What else are you doing?
Exactly.
You're sitting at a red light. Oh, that's interesting. What do they do?
Right.
Or you know what I mean?
I've been looking for, and this guy's local.
Looking for a video guy.
Yeah.
That's a cool truck
let
or
me call.
cool van. Let me call that guy.
Or let me look at the their Instagram and see what they do.
Right. Yeah.
So yep. Yeah. And with that, it's been another. Oh, don't forget to subscribe to Patreon.
Yes.
And
YouTube.
And YouTube.
We gotta get to Justin Laser's level and take his course when he puts one out.
24K gold. That's
right, and that's his small channel compared to. I gotta go
70.
figure out what his other one is.
70. Yeah. So follow us on all the socials. If we don't see you at ISA, well, if we didn't see you at ISA, hopefully we'll see you in Tulsa in June.
I gotta get ready for that.
Yeah, you do. But it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project. Chris and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.